Good afternoon. The Minnesota House of Public Safety and Criminal Justice Reform will come to order. We do have a quorum, isn't that correct? Yep. Yes, we do have a quorum. So right off the bat, what I'd like to do is get our minutes approved. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from
So moved.
the 23rd and the 24th. Representative Considine does so move. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion prevails. Thank you, Representative Considine. Members, we've got several important things that we'll be discussing and hearing from people today. Again, all of this is in keeping with the chairs and this committee's theme on community-based public safety. This week in particular, a number of you may have participated in the press conference we had this morning where we highlighted several bills related to this committee's Gender-Based Violence Prevention Week. I do want to say that we didn't, or at least I didn't when I spoke earlier this morning, was very specific about being very inclusive, which is certainly this chair's intent, and I suspect the entire committee and legislature's intent, in recognizing all victims and survivors of sexual assault, including non-binary individuals and transgender individuals as well. Today, we've got three major items before us. So we're going to be hearing from the Attorney General's work group on sexual assault. And I believe we even have the Attorney General here with us as well. And then we'll be hearing House File 15 and making a motion on that, as well as House File 111. My hope is that we can dedicate roughly equal amounts of time to that. These are highly important discussions, and so I want to apologize ahead of time to all members and members of the public if the chair looks like he's pushing stuff along. My hope is that we can do that and still have very substantive sharing with us. It's just the nature of the work for us to be able to get through the motions that we want to get through today within the allotted period of time here. And then I want to make one final observation. News flash, it's really cold outside. And as a result of that, we're talking, I think, perhaps even some historically cold kind of weather for this time of year. We've had a couple of authors who have asked the chair to therefore hold off on hearing some of their bills for next week. And I certainly want to be respectful of that, particularly, perhaps not so respectful to one another, because we are in session. We have members from all over the state who are here doing the people's work. And as long as the legislature is officially working, this committee will certainly be working. However, there are testifiers from the public that requesting them to be here for bills they really care about in this weather is probably not very healthy for them and not very wise. And so you have my commitment. I'll be working with the authors who have asked to not hear some of the bills that were slotted for tomorrow to accommodate a good time for us to have that. So, and so with that, we'll begin this hearing with a presentation from the Attorney General's work group on sexual assault. This is a particularly important issue for all of us, including the speaker who has asked that we hear from this working group. It's a new Attorney General's office, and so we had a little bit of difficulty, and it's also a new legislature. We had a little bit of difficulty in terms of communicating with one another about the availability of the Attorney General to be able to make this presentation, and so we heard quite recently that that was possible. I'm really grateful and looking forward to the testimony. I guess with that, I'm going to ask, all right, if the Attorney General I believe you're coming forward, and while you come forward and your staff, Representative Johnson, you have a question.
Mr. Chair, I'm getting a little concerned. Now, we're only in our third week of session. We have a long ways to go. No deadlines have been set. We're starting to hear some bills. We're hearing a lot of overviews. But I'm getting concerned what happened this morning. The topics we're discussing today are very important. In fact, I believe both these bills that we're talking about today were in the omnibus bill last year. And it's an important issue. But I'm concerned about the violation of Rule 6.20, which occurred this morning with an addition on the agenda. It's very difficult for us to, I actually wanted to read the report, but I couldn't get it online. It wasn't available. With last-minute changes this early in the session, make me concerned what's going to happen when we get towards, if there is any deadlines, what's going to happen. Rule 6.2 requires 3 days' notice of the agenda changes, and I know there is some leeway, especially towards the end of session, but we're so early this happening, I'm concerned things are going to get pushed through real quick where we don't have time to really study them and look at them and to do a proper hearing on the bills that come forward. There was plenty of time, we have plenty of time this session where this issue could have been talked about later and not at such short notice.
Representative Johnson, your concerns and comments are duly noted. I would say that we do have time in this session to revisit anything that we're doing at this point. I frankly do not want to be sitting around waiting for the end of session to have the kind of conversations that we need to have. The bills that are posted on the agenda were posted with due time, and quite frankly, what we're doing here is having public testimony from our Attorney General on a related issue. And so I think your point would be very seriously noted by this chair if I was attempting to put a new bill on the agenda that the public did not have a chance to prepare for. That would be totally inappropriate. However, that's not the case here. And I do look forward to this conversation today. I think it'll be good to hear what the thoughts from the Attorney General. There'll be other testifiers on this topic as we move forward in this session. I suspect there will be other bills as well. Those will be absolutely properly posted. So with that,
Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Nash. That's right.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Chair, first I want to say thank you for making this room the room that we're now meeting in, because we'll be dealing with important issues, and it's good that it'll be televised and has a larger capacity for people who are here from around the state to deal with both some of the bills that we're hearing. But I'm a little disappointed, Mr. Chair, that at 1:54 a.m., and I was awake because I don't ever sleep, but at 1:54 a.m. there was a notification of an addition to the agenda of the Attorney General's report. That does not comply with the notification rules that you have in your own committee rules for people who want to come and testify to anything in committee. It doesn't say bills, it says testify in committee. Now, there may be people who would like to come down and make comment on the Attorney General's report. Because of the notification at essentially 2 a.m. For a 12:45 hearing start time, that doesn't comply with your own rules, Mr. Chair. And I believe you to be a fair person. We've had good conversations, and I appreciate this, but that's just doesn't seem to comply with either the spirit or the law of what you've tried to get done here. And, moreover, I checked the committee webpage at 12:11 today, and I can pass these out if the page would like to do so, but the report itself wasn't even on the committee webpage as something that people could download and read themselves, which is tradition that we have. Anything that we're talking about in committee is going to be available at the committee webpage. If we're going to talk about transparency, or we're going to talk about making everything available to the public, and we're going to engage the public, I know that there are people in my own district who would like to read this report and who would like to possibly have come and attended, they have no chance. They have no ability to follow in advance what's going on here. So, Mr. Chair, I would ask respectfully that we move this to a different day and follow the proper guidelines that are set forth in the committee rules, and that we go down the line of truly opening up the process to transparency. It says here that if you want to come and testify, you have to notify your CA by 3 p.m. the day before. That mathematically couldn't even happen. So I would respectfully ask that we move the Attorney General's report to a different day so that we can make it available to the public and that the public can come down and be civically engaged.
Thank you, Representative Nash. Representative Dean, Chair Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would just reference members that this is a presentation. I think it's not like a testimony. I believe that the report, if it's not available right now online, it will be available very shortly. I know that some members have hard copies of the report. And since it's not a testimony situation, I don't know why we should be stopping this. As Representative Johnson mentioned, you know, we only have a certain amount of time. There are a lot of things we need to try to get through, and I think if this is something that we actually want to hear, because I don't think there's anything that requires us to hear the Attorney General report this, but I think it's a great opportunity to hear from the Attorney General on what the report says, as we will be addressing some of these issues and other bills that are going to be being moved forward this session. I think that this is something that I know we can get excited about it. In the end, I understand that some people might be a bit concerned, but I don't know that how this changes anything that we're doing relative to our work this session. So I would hope that members would allow the Attorney General to present the findings of the report, and that we can then move on to the other two bills that we have to get to today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Nash, and before I call on you, thank you, Chairman Dean. Before I call on you, members, I want to note that it's already 1 o'clock. We've used 15 minutes of our time talking about procedure here, and procedure is important, and so is the work of the topic before us. Again, as I've indicated to Representative Johnson, if this chair was moving bills that the public absolutely had no idea was going to be before us, that would be a different conversation. Taking testimony from our Attorney Generals on the very issue that the two bills that are before us seems to me to be appropriate. We can spend a lot of time debating this. My hope is that we don't. And so, Representative Nash, I'll call on you. I think Representative Johnson, you also want to make a comment, and then I want us to move forward. Representative Nash.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Chair. And I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm trying to be transparent, and I'm trying to live within the spirit of the rules that you have created. And I have a long list of people who, from my district, I will reach out to on an occasion to ask them their question or their input on a certain issue. And I sent out a very quick request. Are you interested in hearing the results of the Attorney General's working group? I'm going to use the proper title, the Working Group on Sexual Assault Recommendations. Taxpayer dollars were expended to create that report, and I think, therefore, we should make it something that the taxpayer has the ability to say, you know what, I want to go listen to that. I'm going to drive down to the Capitol, and I'm going to get engaged, and after the report, I might have a question of the AG himself, or I might have a question of the legislature, and they have an option to sign up and ask questions, but that's not made possible today. It's not. At 1:54 in the morning, you decided to add this to the agenda. Folks in my district, I reached out to them. They would like to come down, but they have no opportunity to do so. Again, I believe you to be a very fair individual. I truly do believe that. This is not something that is making it easy for the public to engage. And they paid for it. They should have an opportunity to come down and witness it. And moreover, the document itself should be uploaded to the public's webpage because they paid for that as well. So again, I would implore you to move this to a different day. The AG's office is within this building. It's not difficult to travel from A to B on that. And I would just say, in the effort to promote fairness, that would be a good thing to do.
Representative Johnson.
Mr. Chair, members, like I said, I have some concerns about what happened. I'm concerned it's going to continue in the future. I do hope it does not. But for me, I know a number of these members on this commission, working group. And they're very intelligent, very detailed in the work they do. But I also like to read the reports. I tried to do that this morning when I found out about this, when I got down here at around 10 o'clock today. Went online, said file directory not found. I went to the AG's website, I couldn't find it there. I finally found it through one of the the press reports in the past, a link to get that report. I did not have time to study it properly the way we should, and every legislator should, to be prepared for our committee meetings. There's might be some issues during the testimony with the information on the reports and what the testifiers say that could bring up questions that we may have. In fact, a little bit of research, I do have a couple questions already. But the public has a right to know. The public has a right to know what we do, what's going on, the report. You cannot get it from the state because it's not available. And the report was published on, I believe it was December 18th, just over a month and a half ago. Not even a month and a half ago, and we cannot get the reports on the state website. We need to really think what we're doing here and make sure we're doing the people's work properly, fairly, and openly so the people can see what's going on and see what we're doing and have true transparency.
Representative Long, briefly.
Yes, very quickly, Mr. Chair, just wanted to mention that the report, after it came out on December 18th, was mailed to every single new member and existing member. I received a copy at my home before I was sworn in, so that was over a month ago. So we've had plenty of time to review the report, and I hope that we will be able to hear from the Attorney General on the report today. And then, as was mentioned, he's just down the hall, so if we have additional follow-up questions, we can seek him out to hear those questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Long. I think it is very important to hear from our State Attorney General, particularly for a report that's been out for about a month, for work that citizens from across the state participated in, a very difficult issue. However, the Attorney General has graciously accepted coming back to have this report presented when all members can spend time reading the report. And Attorney General, I really greatly appreciate your willingness to do that. It's also, quite frankly, awfully good to see my former colleague in the House again, and I do look forward to doing some really get-down, powerful work on behalf of the people of Minnesota with you at the helm at the Attorney General's office. So thank you for being here today, and my apologies for not being able to, at this point, hear from this important report, but hopefully we'll be able to do that soon.
May I at least thank you, Mr. Chair, for the invitation and all the members?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we look forward to sitting down and talking about the report and every other issue with you. I suspect it won't be too long from now. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. I do think it's important for this committee to operate in a way where there's the best that's coming forward from both sides of the aisle. And if little issues like this are issues that are going to prevent that, then we can very quickly resolve that. And I hope that that does not disturb the spirit of which all of us are coming to the table here today. We have much to do this session if we're going to really realize community-centered public policy that keeps Minnesota safe and makes us safer. So thank you, folks. Members, I want to proceed forward now because we've burned up quite a bit of time with House File 15. Representative Stephenson, if you can come forward.
Chair Mariani.
And hold on a second. And Representative Stephenson, actually, no, why don't you come forward, Representative O'Neill, because I was going to have him do his motion, but then that'll put us in play here. So please proceed.
I just wanted to say, Chair Mariani, I thank you for your flexibility. I have, for the Hannah's Law Bill, the 480 that we are going to hear tomorrow, I'm just very fearful of asking a 17-year-old young girl who has been through so much trauma to make her way through this bitter cold on this historic cold day. So I kindly will accept your offer to hear it at another time so we can give her safe travel here. She's just coming from Wisconsin, so it's not an easy commute for her. So I just want to say thank you, and we'll be taking that up at another time. So those that are wanting to weigh in on that, I've already had several folks contact me, and we can be working on that in that time before we actually hear it. So thank you for that deference.
Thank you, Representative O'Neill. You and I see eye to eye on that issue. And quite frankly, it is colder coming to Minnesota from Wisconsin, so even more important. No, but quite seriously, I think that's a good call on both on your part and my part as well. Members, we are going to hear two bills today that can evoke some very strong feelings and unfortunately for many of our fellow citizens, perhaps memories that are going to be very difficult. And so I do want to acknowledge that we have advocates in the room that have offered to be available for anyone here who wishes to speak with an advocate in terms of whatever might be evoked as a result of our conversation here today. And I'm wondering if those advocates could just stand up just so that we know who they are. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for offering yourselves as good fellow citizens and neighbors to others here. With that, Representative Stephenson, I think you have a motion before us on House File 15, and the motion is to have this bill referred to the Ways and Means with a recommendation that it be re-referred to the Judiciary Committee. Is that your motion?
Well, I think I'm not a member of the committee, I'm not sure I can make that motion. I think Representative Long was thinking about making the motion.
You're right.
I wish I was a member of this committee.
We'll look for a way to get you on here, absolutely. So I think Representative Long might have a motion, however, to that effect.
Yes, Chair Mariani, I'd move that House File 15 be referred to Ways and Means with a recommendation for re-referral to the Judiciary Division, and would note that our honorary member, Stephenson, has brought Oreos for his first bill hearing before our committee.
Yeah, so this is Mr. Chair, my first appearance before your committee, and in honoring of the traditions of this great body, I did bring Oreos. I would note I am presenting another bill this afternoon to the Commerce Committee for the first time, so I'd ask us all to follow the lead of our Republican colleagues and be conservative in your taking of the Oreos.
Representative Stephenson, we're glad that this committee gets first dibs on the Oreos. Please proceed.
And Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I also want to thank the chair for having advocates present in the committee hearing room today. I think that's very important. This is a difficult conversation, and I also just want to make people in the gallery and people who are watching aware that the comments that I will make and the comments that testifiers will make on this bill will be direct, and they may be difficult for some people to hear. And I particularly do know that there are some younger people in the audience here, and I just want everyone to be aware that we are going to have a really direct conversation here. So having said that, I will proceed. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, under existing Minnesota law, if a man drugs his wife and then rapes her while she is unconscious, he cannot be prosecuted for rape in Minnesota. We like to think of marital rape exceptions as an artifact of history, as a relic of a time when a woman was considered the property of her husband. But we still have a limited marital rape exception on the books in Minnesota today. And the bill that's before you today, House File 15, would repeal that limited marital rape exception in its entirety. This bill passed this committee last year. It has passed the Senate Public Safety Committee earlier this session in a separate bill. I also want to note that the bill is supported by both the County Attorneys Association and also by Mincasa, who you'll be hearing from shortly. I want to point out that this is not an academic discussion about a piece of law that's on our books that has little effect. This happens. This law has an effect on our criminal justice system today. And you don't have to take my word for it. If you look in your packets for today, you'll find a fiscal note that was prepared when this bill was being considered last session. And if you read the analysis from the fiscal note, you'll see that the Sentencing Guideline Commission estimated that repeal of this provision, particularly as it relates to the mentally impaired, mentally incapacitated, and physically helpless provision in the voluntary relationship defense, would result in 7 additional convictions each year. So this existing language is preventing justice for at least 7 people a year. I also want to note a recent Minnesota Court of Appeals decision, which was State v. Gozowicz, which came out actually on December 31st of 2018. In that case, a man had sex on multiple dates with a woman who, and I'm going to quote from the decision, according to the psychological assessments, functions at the mental capacity of a 7 to 8-year-old child. He was charged by the Brown County attorney, but just 6 weeks before trial, the man married the victim. He moved to have the trial court dismiss the case, citing to the voluntary relationship defense statute, and was successful. The trial court dismissed the case. Fortunately, the Court of Appeals reversed that decision, citing in part the possibility that interpreting the voluntary relationship defense as applying to marriages occurring after the act would, quote, permit or even encourage an actor to marry in order to avoid culpability for criminal conduct, re-victimizing the victim. The Court of Appeals was wise to think about the incentives that could be created by a broad interpretation of the voluntary relationship defense, and I would encourage the committee to think about the possible consequences of the existing voluntary relationship defense. As an aside, that Court of Appeals decision was 2-1. So there was one judge. We were one vote away from the court upholding the dismissal. You don't have to take my word for it, though, or the Sentencing Guidelines Commission or the Court of Appeals. Play what if with that Court of Appeals decision. In a few minutes, you're going to hear from Jenny Thiessen, who lived this nightmare herself. I can recall learning in law school about 17th century English common law principle that a husband could never be convicted of raping his wife because by consenting to marry, quote, the wife hath given up herself to her husband. I'm sure that many of us, and I hope all of us sitting here today, find those words repugnant. And I think it's time for our laws to match our values. And so now, with the chair's permission, I'll turn it over to Lindsay Bryce from MnCASA.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. Bryce.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for having me here today. My name is Lindsay Bryce. I am the Law and Policy Director for the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault. Many of you probably met my predecessor, Caroline, who has been here a fair amount. I have worked with, I'm newer to MnCASA, but I have worked with and for and next to victims and survivors of gendered violence for over 20 years, and I'm actually a former prosecutor as well. Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault provides leadership and resources for sexual assault programs and our allies to prevent sexual violence while promoting a comprehensive, socially just response for all victims and survivors. And I'd like to thank the chair for your comments about inclusivity because it's one of the conversations that we're having is that it's crucial that our laws work for the most marginalized and the most heavily impacted, because if they work for those folks, then they're working for everybody. And that's crucial. I'm going to keep my comments brief today as you'll be hearing from someone who has been personally impacted by this statute and by the language that this bill would repeal. But I'm here to speak in support, obviously, of the repeal and to thank both Representative Stephenson, the co-authors, and the chair for advancing this conversation. The repeal of this bill is the same language that MnCASA supported last year. This was vetoed as part of the large omnibus bill, and this is a priority for MnCASA's legislative agenda in 2019. Just a little bit about our process. We have a public policy committee and a number of subcommittees, and then we reach out to a number of different partners as we work through what we're going to support and what makes the most sense moving forward. And in this case, we had conversations within the policy committee, and we actually, one of the concerns was whether or not there was some unintentional negative impact on folks with disabilities. That was one of the concerns that was raised. And so we reached out to the legal director of the Minnesota Disability Law Center, brought them into the conversation, and they also supported the repeal of this and said, thank you for being concerned. We don't see any clear and unintended consequences. So that our process is both both MnCASA and its pulling in partners. And we fully support this. Thank you for your time and attention today.
Thank you, Ms. Bryce. Representative Stephenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to turn it over now to Jenny Thiessen, who's seated here to my right. And in doing so, I want to just say that I think you're about to hear that the terrible ordeal she's been to. And it's just really remarkable, the strength and tenacity that she has brought through this entire process. And to be sitting here today and sharing this story, it's just really commendable. And I want to thank you for your leadership on this and for coming out and being willing to speak about this today. So,
Thank you.
Welcome to the committee, Ms. Thiessen. We appreciate your presence with us here today.
Thank you. Do I need to?
no, I think it,
Like, fix it?
yeah, if you, they'll let us know if it's.
Okay. Mr. Chair, thank you for hearing House File 15 today and my personal testimony. My name is Jenny Hager, soon to be Thiessen, and I feel grateful to be able to address you and the entire committee today. Last year, when this bill was brought before the committee, I was sitting in the room listening. However, I was unable to testify as criminal charges were still pending against my former spouse regarding his actions. Since then, he has publicly admitted that he drugged me, he raped me, and he videotaped it in our Andover home. In March 2016, I discovered a flash drive containing several videos of my former spouse recording his coworkers in the private staff bathroom at his place of employment, and 2 additional videos of me in our home that I was unaware of. 2 months after serving my husband divorce papers and preparing my affidavit for divorce, I was tasked with reviewing every photo and video from a copy of our family laptop computer. I came across 2 videos that forever changed my life. They were videos of my husband had recorded in our bed, New Year's morning 2016. The first video starts out with a full screenshot of my vagina. My former spouse is forcefully inserting a synthetic penis in and out of my vagina for several seconds where my body lay lifeless. He pauses the forceful penetration and carefully crawls through the covers to reveal my face. My mouth is wide open, and it is clear that I am unconscious. He starts to move the camera back down to my lower body, and in that wider screenshot, my 4-year-old son is laying next to me in bed. He came back an hour later and started recording again for a second time. He put not only my life in danger, but was potentially exposing our son to something unthinkable. The worst part of that day was my mom was at my house when I discovered the rape videos. My mom and I sat and cried as I discovered I had been drugged and raped by my husband. No parent should ever have to experience their daughter in complete and utter pain, deception, confusion, disbelief. No one. Immediately after discovering these videos, I called the Anoka County Sheriff Detective, who was the main point of contact in the active criminal investigations regarding my former spouse. I was informed that someone would be following up with me soon to take my statement. Sadly, that was not the case. It took over 2 months of me calling the sheriff's office, talking to many different people, before I was finally scheduled to give my statement. In September 2017, I received a call from a victim witness specialist with the Anoka County Attorney's Office. She called to inform me that my former spouse had been formally charged with 1-count felony criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree. To be honest, I had mixed emotions when I heard this news. The strongest emotion I had was a feeling of sense of safety, not only for myself, but my 2 young children and our community, knowing that justice was going to be served. Later that afternoon, just as I was ready to head down to the bus stop to get my kids off the school bus, I received another call from that same woman. I could tell there was a shakiness in her voice, and she called to inform me that she had some news, and she said she was at a loss for words. but what she told me was life-changing. She explained that my former spouse's felony third-degree criminal sexual assault charge was dropped because his criminal defense attorney made them aware at the county of a law on the Minnesota books that states a person cannot be charged with this crime if they were married at the time of the crime. She said the entire staff of attorneys in the office, the judge, sheriffs, no one knew that this law even existed. We were all shocked, and she said, "This needs to be changed." I was devastated and scared. That night, I struggled with the news I received. I watched some Harry Potter with my kids, and by the next morning, I was ready to go to work to make sure that no one in a similar situation hears, "I'm sorry, the charges have been dropped." The county was able to charge fifth-degree criminal sexual conduct and invasion of privacy, which was finally sentenced last month. My former spouse pled guilty to invasion of privacy and home. What he did to me was sexual assault, yet nothing shows on his record of the crimes he committed against me. Had he been charged at the third degree, one of the requirements was registration as a sex offender. Yet nothing shows criminal sex on his record. In an excerpt from the sentencing court transcript from last month, Anoka County prosecuting attorney Paul Young is quoted by saying, "This court knows that the psychological evaluations that were done on my former spouse and the recommendations find him to be a moderate to high risk to reoffend. While we see other offenders with that, it is concerning given that before even reaching those conclusions, this is a person that had been in sex offender counseling, therapy, marriage counseling, and is still at a stage after all that time a high risk to the community. Since felony charges were dropped because we were married, not only myself, but our community is being put at risk from sexual predators like my former spouse." In closing, I would like to read you an excerpt from my victim impact statement read in court at sentencing for the invasion of privacy last month. In September 2017, my former spouse was charged with third-degree criminal sexual assault, and those charges were dropped because in the state of Minnesota, if you are married, you cannot be charged with sexual assault degrees 1 through 4, even if your spouse is incapacitated when the sexual assault takes place. And today, he has entered a plea of 45 days jail and invasion of privacy. At a minimum, he should have to register as a sex offender. More jail time is also warranted. The Star Tribune recently ran a series titled "Justice Denied" that examines how Minnesota's criminal justice system often fails victims of rape and sexual assault. With the plea agreement that was reached, this becomes one more story of a victim that has been failed. I would rather be in the victim heard, justice served category. Thank you, Your Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Thiessen, and I want to acknowledge the importance of you coming forward to assert your personal dignity and your humanity, and I want you to know that I see it and I acknowledge it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Stephenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd be happy to take any questions from the committee on the subject at this time.
Committee members, are there questions? Representative Edelson.
I want to thank you for your testimony, and I'm sure it wasn't easy to come here today. Would there be any going retroactive, any sort of, is there any language that can be added to this? Or have you thought about that?
Representative Stephenson.
Mr. Chair, Representative Edelson, the bill as it stands now is not retroactive. It would apply to instances occurring, I believe, after July 1st. Yeah, July 1st of 2019. I'm not sure that you could go retroactive on this particular piece.
Thank you.
Representative Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I too want to thank you for your really powerful testimony and for your willingness to put yourself out there on behalf of other people, and our state thanks you for that. And I want to thank Ms. Bryce and Mincasa as well. I was actually involved in some of those earlier conversations a couple years ago, and the concern that potentially this could somehow impact a relationship, a consensual relationship involving a physical disability. I had some trouble with that at the time as seeing it, and I'm so glad that we've kind of collectively worked through that and realized that that's not a concern, and this is really a matter of justice, so thank you. And thanks to you, Representative Stephenson, and I feel like it is worthy of lifting up the original author of this bill from last session, our now Speaker, Melissa Hortman, who's been a champion on this. And of course, it's former Chair Johnson then who chose to include this in the omnibus bill last year. So this is a really group effort. But I appreciate that this session, Representative Stephenson has taken the lead on it. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Pinto. Representative Johnson.
Mr. Chair, this bill is supposed to be headed to judiciary next, is that correct?
Representative Johnson, the motion is to refer to Ways and Means, and the motion involves a recommendation that it be referred to judiciary.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Representative, I do have an amendment I wish you would consider putting on in judiciary. This is an important issue. Instead of waiting till August 1st for this to go to effect, have an amendment put on it to upon final enactment goes into effect.
Mr. Chair, Representative, I would agree that that's an amendment worth considering.
And we have Chairman Lush here who's listening in on the conversation. I suspect that will be given some serious consideration at that time. Representative Johnson, are you? Thank you. Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to acknowledge how difficult and challenging and brave it was for you to bring your testimony today. And hopefully this is another bit along your road of healing. And you're a brave woman. So I want to acknowledge that and thank you. And thank you for bringing this bill forward. This is overdue. And I wish we could have enacted it a year ago. It's very sad that something like this didn't get signed into law when we had it through both bodies. And sadly, it was vetoed. So I just want to acknowledge your bravery and thank you for coming and sharing your story, as difficult as it was.
Thank you, Representative O'Neill. Representative Stephenson, I suspect that this year we'll pursue a different strategy in terms of trying to get this bill in front of the governor's desk, and hopefully we can do that sooner than later. Representative Grossell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Representative, thank you for bringing this legislation forward again. It is something that needs to be done, something that needs to be addressed. And I just wanted to make one comment on one thing that really caught my ear. Victims heard, victims served. And that is something that, since I walked through the front door in 2016, been working on legislation for that very purpose, so that these predators, these sexual predators, and they call them predators for a reason, because they prey upon innocent people, people they can manipulate, people they can have authority over. So I want to thank you for your strength to come forward and testify, and I know it's got to be very difficult, but I have legislation that will illuminate these very people who get these plea deals. So again, thank you for bringing this legislation forward.
Thank you, Representative Grosso. Representative Considine. Chair Considine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the testifier, your courage is amazing, and I'm really sorry that happened to you. Representative Stephenson, if the spouse is, say, has Alzheimer's and is in an institution, does this bill cover that? And who would then, frankly, speak for the spouse?
Representative Stephenson.
Mr. Chair, Representative Considine, what this bill would do in that situation is make the mere fact of the marriage between the person and the person who has Alzheimer's not controlling. If the sexual contact between spouses is still consensual, then it's not illegal. You know, consent is still a defense in that instance. And that, I believe, is why the disability community doesn't have a problem with this bill, because it still allows for people who are disabled or otherwise impacted to engage in sexual relations, provided there is consent.
Chair Considine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm guessing, Unfortunately, I'm thinking of a case down in my area about 15 years ago where the woman was incapacitated, and her husband would come and pick her up and take her out for a visit. She wasn't capable of consent at this point in her life. And in fact, the tragedy was they both froze to death at the end of a long dirt road. That's somebody that's incapacitated and not able to give consent is what I'm thinking.
Representative Stevens.
Mr. Chair, Representative Considine, I think ultimately consent is a big part of the touchstone of our or should be the touchstone of our criminal sexual conduct laws. I would also note for you that there is an element of prosecutorial discretion that exists in our laws that is meant to cover very extreme circumstances that might be applicable to a situation like the one that you are discussing.
Chair Considine.
Thank you for your answer.
And Chair Lesh, I suspect these are some of the issues that, you know, in your committee will dig deeper in terms of the technical application and considerations in terms of court and prosecuting procedures. So I look forward to that conversation in your committee.
Sure. Thank you for that. We will look at it, including the proposed amendment that came up. If Chair Considine has a question, he sits on that committee as well. I'll leave it up to you, Representative Stephenson, and you, Ms. Thiessen, if you want to endure another committee. I know that that's difficult, but I will tell you, you did an outstanding job today. And I know it's difficult. Those of us around here have questions about the idea of, you know, re-victimizing the victim, whether that's the word you want to use or not. But I will tell you, a lot of times, you having to endure this again makes a huge difference for everyone here and makes for more solid legislation. It absolutely does. So I want to thank you for being willing to take this on your shoulders. For everyone who isn't in a position to speak up, thank you for that. So between here and there, Mr. Chair, we'll decide, you know, how Representative Stephenson, you want to do this, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Lesh. Is there anyone in the public and the audience that wishes to testify for or against the bill? If not, then Representative Stephenson, I think we're ready to act on your bill. So Representative Long renews his motion that House File 15 be referred to the Ways and Means Committee with a recommendation that it be re-referred to the Judiciary Committee. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion prevails. Thank you, Representative Stephenson. Thank you, Ms. Thiessen. Thank you, Ms. Bryce. We see you and we hear you. Thank you for making yourself be seen and heard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members of the committee.
Members, we now have House File 111, Representative Kunesh-Podein. Oh, okay, there's a, yeah. So Representative Kunesh-Podein, if you can come forward, and we'll do a motion here. Chair Dean moves that House File, well, hold on a second. There's an issue with the bill numbers. I just want to make real clear, although the bill before us is House File 111, that's what's been posted. So let me hold on a second while I have Representative Kunesh-Podein come to the witness table. So we can just move 111. So. Yeah, okay, all right, thank you. So, yeah, you know there's a clone. Yeah. Very well. Oh, okay. So we'll move on. 7. And we're fine with the posting. Very well. I'm sorry, Representative Dean. We're trying to get the right number. 111 was actually the clone bill, We had originally teed up the 111 bill. The bill, however, that was first introduced is House File 70, and that's the bill that the public and the community is following. And so I want to make sure that we're moving that bill. And we just conferred quickly with our minority lead to make sure that there was a timely filing of that number with the public, and indeed there is. So, Representative Dean, I think your motion would then be that House File 70 be referred to the Ways and Means Committee.
That's my motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Dean. Representative Kunesh-Podein, welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. I'm State Representative Mary Kunesh-Podein, and I'm here today to present legislation around creating a task force to study Minnesota's missing and murdered Indigenous women. It was about two years ago that I listened to preliminary reports coming out of Canada on their national report around their missing and murdered Indigenous women. And while they had begun to look for this information and collect the data, they found that there were a lot of errors, there were a lot of roadblocks in the way, and perhaps some of the initial data that they collected was not clear or didn't really reflect the number of women that had gone either missing or murdered. It was at that time also that a young woman up in Fargo went missing. Savannah Graywin, she was a young woman, pregnant. She was missing for a day or so, only to find her body without her unborn child in her womb in the river. And they later were able to find that child with a neighbor that had committed the crime. And so then there was the legislator from North Dakota that started a missing and murdered Indigenous women bill to study the situation in North Dakota, Heidi Heidkamp. And I thought to myself, you know, why is Canada doing this in Minnesota, or the United States isn't doing this? Why is North Dakota doing this and Minnesota is not doing that? And then I had to remind myself, I am a state legislator and this is what I do. And so I came to the Capitol in the middle of the summer and spoke with House Research and said, we really need to do something around this. And they were able to put together like a first rough version of this bill. At that time, I reached out to the Indigenous community, to the different organizations, to individuals that I knew in the Native American community across the state, and invited them to come in and sit around a table and look at the bill and tell me, what do you want this bill to look like? I wanted them to really be the creators of this bill. On the night that we had about 18 very passionate women around the table. We had at least a dozen folks from greater Minnesota on the phone. And we went through the bill line by line, piece by piece, and fine-tuned that bill. And that was the bill that I presented last year to the state legislature. That was House File 3375. Fortunately, we were able to hear that in before the first deadline. It was actually the last committee hearing, the last hearing of the day before the deadline loomed. And it was an incredibly emotional, compassionate hearing. And what I think it did, it opened up the hearts and the eyes and the understanding that this is a national endemic, that this is a tragedy that has happened through historic times, and it hasn't gotten the attention or the compassion that it should have gotten over all of these times. And through this, I can tell you as a legislator, I have grown incredibly. The stories that I hear from women, from family members about not only themselves, but their sister, their mother, their grandmother, their aunt, is really, really heartbreaking. But I think it's really important that at this state legislature, at the Minnesota legislature, that we hear these stories and we listen very carefully, just as we listened to the testimony of the hearing before this one. Because these are human beings, these are women These are life bearers. These are our ancestors. And we don't want to forget them. But we want to be able to give them an opportunity to be heard and to ask for recognition, and then to ask for help in finding ways to end this whole tragic situation. So this task force that we have, I have here in front of you, House File 70, also 111 as a clone, creates a task force to address the violence against Indigenous women, and it defines the standards and requirements for this task force. It will create a task force to examine and report on issues addressing the systemic causes behind violence against Indigenous women, and that also naturally will extend to girls, to our Two-Spirit, and to men as well. We will ask them to recommend appropriate methods for tracking and collecting the data. We will ask this task force to act as a liaison between government agencies, policies, and institutions that impact violence against Indigenous women. And again, by natural progress, I'm sure it will be against, the issues against all women, men, violence against anyone. We are also asking them to recommend appropriate measures to address the violence and assist the victims and their families. This task force will be compiled of 17 individuals that will include law enforcement, defense attorneys, prosecutors, judges, tribal governments, non-government agencies, especially those who work with Indigenous communities, as well as the victims and the families of our missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And of course, we have in the past had the support of all 11 tribes in Minnesota, and we would ask for their continued participation in that. This task force will be required to report to the legislature by December 15th of 2020. And the fiscal note that has been connected to this would allot $67,000 for the first year for the compilation of the connecting of this task force, as well as some of the data collection. And then in year two, it would be $33,000 for a total of $100,000. In your packet here, you should have a report. It's called The Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, a snapshot of data from 71 urban cities in the United States. This is the first real comprehensive collection of data that I have seen yet in the last 2 years. And this was put together by the Urban Indian Health Institute in Seattle with the help of a young woman who is passionate and devoted to studying the missing and murdered Indigenous women. Her name is Anita Lakeshi, and she deserves a lot of the kudos for putting this together. I won't go through this, but I would really ask that you, on your own time, would take this and look through it and read it and try to understand what has been going on in our Indigenous communities for hundreds of years. You will find that one of the sad facts of the matter is that Minnesota ranks number 9 out of the top 10 states for the most missing and murdered Indigenous women. And for me, it's a crying shame no matter what. So I want to share this with you, ask you to read it, help you understand it. I know that we will hopefully be moving on to other committees to have this heard. But it's really important that not only are we educating ourselves, but that we are educating our constituents and the rest of the states. Hopefully this is something that, and I know it is a movement that is growing across the United States as well as up in Alaska. And so I would ask you to help us educate our communities and our state around this very, very sad tragedy. I have brought with me a few women that would like to testify and tell their stories. Some of these women work with the Indigenous community around this kind of violence. We have victims of this crime who were personally abducted and violated. We also have the family of a young woman named Jojo Boswell. Her mother and her daughter and her mother and her sister are here with us today. They lost their daughter and their sister JoJo, 2005 it was, never to be heard of again. They don't know what happened. They know where she was seen last, and that's all they know. And this is what they've had to live with day in and day out. And I'd like to invite them in a minute to share their story as well. To the right of me, I have Nicole Matthews. She is from Minnesota Indian Sexual Assault Coalition. I would like you to please share what you have to say today.
Representative, let me just pause very quickly to acknowledge the presence of Representative Aisha Gomez, who's joined us at the table. She's not a member of this committee, but she's asked to sit in on this hearing with us, and so welcome, Representative Gomez. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Senator Patricia Torres Rey, who's also stopped by to sit in and to listen, and also to honor the stories that will be shared here today. So welcome, Senator. Oh, and Representative Hassan. Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't see you past the.
I'm hiding back here.
Welcome to all three of you to the committee here today. Representative, please proceed. Oh, actually, it's Ms. Matthews. Welcome to the committee, Ms. Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Uju and Denaway Maganang, Nicole Matthews Jaganashimung, Manidu Beneshikwe, Indigenous, Migizi and Dodam. Greetings, my relatives. My English name is Nicole Matthews, and my Indian name is Spirit Bird Woman. I'm Eagle Clan, and I'm from the White Earth Band of Ojibwe. I'm truly honored to have the opportunity to speak with you today about murdered and missing Indigenous women. I am the Executive Director of the Minnesota Indian Women Sexual Assault Coalition, which is a statewide tribal coalition and a national tribal technical assistance provider. Our coalition membership spans the entire state and includes individual and organizational representatives from all tribal communities and includes urban representation as well. In addition, we provide technical assistance to tribes and community organizations across the country who are addressing both sexual violence and sex trafficking. I was one of 5 interviewers for our research on prostitution and trafficking of American Indian and Alaska Native women in Minnesota, where we interviewed 105 of our Native sisters about their experiences being used in prostitution and trafficking. One of the things that we heard from many of the women we interviewed was that they knew of someone who had been trafficked and they had never seen nor heard from them again. We heard story after story of the violence and invisibility they encountered on a daily basis. In fact, one woman told us that a sex buyer told her, "I thought we killed all of you." This is the same violence and invisibility that many of us encounter on a daily basis. We are indigenous to this land, and we deserve better. Thanks to a report that was recently published, the one that Representative Kunesh-Podein mentioned, we are starting to see data on the issue of murdered and missing Indigenous women. We know, however, that there is more data out there, and all of the data represents real human life. Someone's mother, someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's auntie, and someone's friend. We have many stories. In 2016, we lost Rose Downwind, who was missing and later found murdered by her partner. That same year, we also lost Tanya Skinaway Sam, who was also murdered by her partner. And last year, on this very day, January 29th, 2018, we lost a sister, Lene Strong, who was murdered here in St. Paul. There are many more stories similar to the ones I've mentioned, and some that you will hear today. And there are many, many more stories that are yet to be told. Stories that we don't hear in the media. Stories from our Indigenous trans sisters that don't get lifted up. Stories that have been forgotten or deemed unimportant. These stories are not just numbers for us. They represent a loss to our community and to our families, and it is time for Minnesota to acknowledge the responsibility to the Indigenous women on whose land we sit today. Minnesota has long been a leader on issues of gender-based violence, and creating a task force to address murdered and missing Indigenous women is a great way to continue that legacy. Miigwech, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Representative Kunesh-Podein.
Thank you. very much. Next, we have, I think I will ask Dolly and her mother, Ms. Boswell, to come up and share your story, if you will.
My name is Dolly Boswell. I'm Jojo Boswell's sister. And this is my mother, Geraldine Jackson. And
welcome to both of you
thank you.
To the committee. It's good to have you here. Our lights are going in and out, and hopefully it won't affect our microphone, but please lean into the mic so that we make sure that we capture your voices here today. Thank you.
Okay. In July 2005, my younger sister was arrested. And she was arrested in Hennepin County for charges in Owatonna. And they transferred her to Owatonna. And then she was released from the jail July 11th. And they released her from the jail, and she never made it back to Minneapolis. And my younger sister, I talked to her every day, and I tried to report her missing, and they told me I had to wait 48 hours. Yeah, and so anyways, I waited the 48 hours, and then once I was finally able to report her missing, there was this dispute about Minneapolis or Owatonna, and then her being an adult, and then the fact that she had criminal charges before, and then they basically told me I have more important things to do. I have children to find. Call me when she returns home. And my sister, regardless of what state she's in, like mentally or where she's at, she would call me every day, check in every day. And yeah, she never made it home, and then and it's like by the time they finally got a chance to look into her case, any evidence that was there, anybody that would have seen her, would remember something that far back. But yeah, thankful for the coverage that she did get, and I'm hopeful that somebody will come forward, years later and let us know what happened, where she's at.
Would you like to say anything?
No, I just wish that whoever's out there knows where she is. If they would bring her back, let her call, talk, or send something to let us know that she's okay, wherever she is. We're waiting for her.
Thank you, Ms. Boswell. And is it Representative? Is it Ms. Jackson as well? Thank you for your testimony, and thank you for your courage to come forward and share that with us. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family as you continue to search and to hold hope. And our commitment is to do what we do, what we can do as lawmakers to address this issue as best as we can to make sure that our law enforcement community, and in fact, all of Minnesota stands with you. Representative Kunesh-Podein.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that commitment. I would invite Misty Babineau to come speak now.
Welcome, Ms. Babineau.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, I'd like to start by thanking Representative Mary for bringing this bill forward. I was raped for the first time when I was 9 by the boyfriend of my foster mother at the time. When I was 12, I witnessed my grandmother get murdered in front of me. I watched her attacker go after my mother and after me. I fought for my life against a grown woman. I have the scars on my hands today. When I was 20, I was kidnapped. I was taken over 60 miles away from my home. I was held and I was raped. I got away, though. These are not the only instances of violence that I have to share. And I want to highlight that my story is not rare. 4 out of 3 of my sisters have something similar to this. This is not something new. This is not something just brought in by the pipelines. 500 years we've been waiting for this. My sisters, my people have gone missing since European settlers set land here on Turtle Island. It's time for justice. This is time for healing. I implore, I beg everyone in this room, everyone at this committee, everybody who can hear my voice right now, do not allow this bill to become a bargaining chip on the table at the end of session. This bill needs to go for a floor hearing, and this bill needs to arrive on Tim's desk, and he needs to sign it. It's been too long. We fought for this bill last year. We got it into the omnibus bill, and due to politics, we lost it, not this year. I implore you, please. Our community deserves healing. These women deserve justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Babineau. Representative Kunesh-Podein.
Thank you, Misty. Thank you, Chair. Next, we have an elder from our community, great-grandmother Mary Lyons, who would like to say a word.
Welcome, Elder Lyons, to the committee.
I don't have a word, I have a book.
She does. She does have a book.
I always like to bring balance back when you hear such sadness. Good afternoon. My name is great-grandmother Mary Lyons. I'm not only a concerned Ojibwe elder of my community. My younger sister, Catherine Lyons, was murdered in 1989. On New Year's Eve, leaving 3 beautiful boys for me to raise. The subject is very close to home, not to mention that there are so many more that my family knew that never came home. What an honor it is, and I mean it, to have our words being heard in this arena as our new Minnesota government moves forward. I would like to share a common understanding as we move forward in justice that we all face and feel. After I clear, so I can see what I'm reading. It is not our back that hurts, but the burden. It's not our eyes that hurt, but the injustice. It's not your head that hurts, it's your thoughts. It's not the throat that hurts, it's either your silence or the anger of not being heard. Finding common memory ground is nearly impossible as we're dealing with 2 separate historical traumas. One being the Indigenous original people of this land, the dismantling of our cultural ways, lifestyles, the slavery and the demeaning and the forced reconditioning of living a white lifestyle that is not of our own. The other being, and please listen to this, the white invaders that came to Americas forgot why they left their homelands, forgetting their own genocide. I recently read an extremely provocative briefing from a white woman that wears a religious cloth and spoke openly about privilege in white America. She began with, know the history you carry and the way your history has impacted others. Because white culture has had the power to define what is normal, the power to write history, the power to silence dissenting voices, and the power to be oblivious in the impact of white culture. We have to work extra hard to see ourselves in the story of this country. She wrote that to her people. White people have a moral obligation to understand how they carry the violent history and heritage of the genocide of Native Americans and the profound trauma of chattel slavery in us. My prayer is that you will take initiative to learn and to expand your perspectives on things like the doctrine of discovery, treaties broken by the U.S. government, the wealth generated by the labor of enslaved people and the enslaved people being capital. She continued with reminding her community, the white community, of the dismantling of cultures that were foreign to them through religious institutions felt so entitled to the personal space of Native people that they took their children, cut their hair, forbid them to speak their language or dance their ceremonial dances, and destroyed their culture. Being aware of how Christians felt entitled to not just space, but spirits, cultures, bodies, families, and homes is a must for white-skinned Americans. White people are famous for their fragility, for their need to be right, for their discomfort with criticism, for their inability to listen and honor perspectives other than their own. And we, as white people, are famous for trying to normalize our violent ways of dealing with problems. This has been a historical habit in America. White people get to say what the objective facts are, with little or no acknowledgement that other perspectives and experiences have validity. That was from Dr. Marcia Mount-Shoup. When you have a history such as ours, first residents of this land, we don't have a common ground memory to move forward with, together as a people, all people of color. A simulation of Native people have been since the encounters of the white man resting their feet on their homelands. Through their religious beliefs of what they believed they were reviewing when they first witnessed the lifestyles of us, heathen lifestyles for the final judgment that was displayed upon us. Kill the Indian, save the man. The separations of land, dismantling of families, and early slavery of our people played a big part of the shift and is very evident today. We work twice as hard to still fit in. The historical backlashes of these pains resulted in alcohol and drug abuse, leaving our children to not trust relationships as forever connections. Our women were silenced by being victimized by rape, being beaten in these religious schools in the early days, and even death without a thought was a way of life for us. Our women have been forced into prostitution, victimizing as being worthless. It is just not our women we talk of. We also include our LGBT, transgender communities, and our young men. Our women witnessed such horrific harms that it left an imprint on our characters of how to fit into a white man's world. We have been silenced much too long. Our history has been hidden as truth does hurt, and it has its repercussions. Today is a new day with new problems and new resolutions, new solutions. This bill we're asking for is a given right. It's a given right to our community. We are taxpayers. We are good community leaders. We are doing our best to be single parents, and the list is long of the goodness that is often overlooked. The funds that we're asking for to support this bill is minimal cost that occurs in the aftermath. Not only does the families of our missing and murdered women, LGBT, transgender, and men feel the loss, so does the economy. How would you ask? The children that are left behind go into relative care, foster care, and institutions, group homes, some incarcerated, and adoption. This costs money, more money than what this bill is even asking for. I'll leave you with this pondering thought. Do you believe that your environment controls your thoughts and your feelings? Or do you believe that your thoughts and feelings control your environment? Take a few minutes to think about your answer. Which opinion feels more empowering? Which opinion do you want to be true? Be mindful that Band-Aid politics will only create a dangerous wound that will spread without any healing in sight. Please support this bill and move forward in unity as humanity is depending on this, depending on us working together. Chimigwich. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Mary. Representative Kunesh-Podein.
Thank you, Chair. We did have another woman that would have liked to testify today, Renee Goodrich, but she was not able to make it due to the weather. But I do have a special request to bring up somebody from the governor's office, Kate Weeks, to share with us what a message from the governor.
Welcome, Ms. Weeks. And members, Ms. Weeks and I go back several years. She was a former employee at the Minnesota House, and we greatly miss your work and your intelligence and your guidance here. But thank you for coming back, and coming back in a new capacity, I understand.
That's right. Thank you, Chair, members. My name is Kate Weeks. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Justice Programs with the Department of Public Safety. I'm here to pass on a message from Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan. Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan fully support the formation of a task force and the goals it seeks to achieve. The Governor and Lieutenant Governor have traveled the state and heard from all 11 tribes on the importance of this issue. They hope to work with the author and all the stakeholders on ways they can help to ensure its success. One suggestion I've been asked to pass along is consider inclusion of representation of all tribes on the task force. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weeks. Representative Kunesh-Podein.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any more testifiers, but I would ask that you take into consideration the stories that you've heard, the historic trauma that I think we are all now aware of. And I ask for your support as we move through this process of creating this task force through the Minnesota legislature.
Thank you. Are there questions from the committee members? Representative Johnson.
Madam Chair, Representative Kunesh-Podein, thank you for bringing this issue forward again. It is an important issue, and as last year as Chair of Public Safety, and I think it's the first time it's ever happened, but chairs from other committees were calling to make sure this bill was heard. It's a very important issue. I do have one minor concern on the bill, though, is the numbers of people you have on this committee. There's an old saying, too many cooks spoil. You may want to look at paring down the number of people on this committee so we can get the proper information as quick as possible.
Representative Kunesh-Podein.
Thank you. Thank you for that suggestion. When we worked initially on this bill, we tried to keep it as lean as possible, but making sure that we were including the most important stakeholders in order to be able to access data, share data, and code that data correctly. Right now, the only change that we have on this version of the bill is that we added 2 legislators from the House and 2 legislators from the Senate. Other than that, if we pared it down anymore, I would be concerned that we wouldn't get a full representation from our government agencies, from our tribal communities, and other than if you have any suggestion where you think we would do that, I feel this is a well-balanced, well-organized task force. The folks that would be on this task force, I'm assuming, are committed to it and would do the best that they can to ensure that we are getting a report in a timely way and gathering the information that we need to carry on post-report. Thank you, though.
And Representative Kunesh-Podein, I suspect at some point there'll be a conversation in GovOps relative to the size of the committee. And so you have an opportunity to make a more in-depth review of that at that point. Representative Pinto has a question.
Yeah, just maybe a brief comment, Mr. Chair. So I think folks on the committee are where I, in my role as a prosecutor, I served as the Director of Training and Protocol Development for the Safe Harbor System. I had a chance to work with some of the folks who've testified, Representative Kunesh-Podein, and I'm so grateful for her leadership in bringing this forward. And I can say that in training law enforcement around the state and others, this is a massive disproportionality in terms of the targeting for exploitation and trafficking of our Native community and in particular American Indian women and girls. And of course, it's so much grounded in the history, and I appreciated our elder providing so many references to history, because it really is grounded in hundreds of years. And I was just shocked in the course of that work to learn more and more about that, and would encourage all of us to continue that learning. But there was another reference to history was made by Ms. Matthews, which is a more positive history, a more recent one, which is the legacy of leadership in our state on gender-based violence. And I want to make sure folks in the committee are aware that this state was a leader in domestic violence with the Duluth model known around the world. Developed in the late 1980s. We've been a leader in terms of safe harbor work and fighting exploitation. That's nationally and even beyond. And I think that with this task force, we're a leader in another way as well. Representative Kunesh-Podein, you're leading the way on this. And it's fitting that this particular topic we would be one that be a leader on, not just because of the relationship with gender-based violence, but because of lifting up our Indigenous community and finally honoring that connection. And so I'm grateful to everyone who's testified and for the bill as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Pinto. Chairman Considine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Podein, for your leadership on this. I just want to express an opinion that I would like, as we finish with the committees, that we bring this bill maybe as a separate standalone bill. I think it's important enough that it deserves that on the House floor, and that's the direction I would like to see it go.
Thank you, Chair Considine. I believe that's also the wishes and intent of the author as well. Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Kunesh-Podein, for bringing this forward. I remember when you first came to me on the House floor, and we were kind of in the early stages of doing this, and I had a lot of questions for you, because I always have a lot of questions. But I'm just impressed with what you've put together, and I'd like to be included moving forward if there's anything that I can do to be helpful and move this ball forward. I was particularly moved by the testimony of your testifier directly to your right, and I'm sorry, I didn't catch her.
Misty Babin.
Misty was incredible. Your testimony was incredibly powerful and impactful in a way that it shines a light on what has been happening in your community, and realizing that 3 of your 4 siblings, including yourself, have been victimized in such a horrible way. I look at the other side of it also, of those that are out victimizing. And, you know, I have a lot of work that I've been doing to hold those men accountable. So I hope you would work with me as well as we start to really do a deep dive into some of these statutes that are a hindrance to prosecuting serial rapists. Because there are many serial rapists just out there roaming around, victimizing more and more and more. Or even worse, we talk about sex trafficking. And the sad statistic I heard recently is that a person that's been sucked into sex trafficking has a life expectancy of about 5 years. Yeah. It's horrifying. It's tragic. It's disgusting. And I just want to say to any members of the public listening to this, if you are a man and you go and buy sex, this is what you're doing. This is what you're doing. We want to stop sex trafficking. We need to stop the men that are buying sex. You want to heal the community? We need to stop buying sex. I don't know how anyone could walk away from this testimony and not be moved. She was 9 years old the first time she was victimized. She was victimized again at 12. 3 of the 4 of her sisters were victimized. We have a culture today that women, children, just don't matter. You can buy them at will. You can buy them online. You can hook up at some hotel. It needs to stop. And if you're listening out there, buyers of sex, I want you to think about that. I want you to listen to her story and think about the incredible depth of pain you're causing, not only that child, that woman, but her family. Today I say enough is enough, and I will do whatever it takes to get this bill forward. Thank you for doing this work. You can count on me from this day forward to be by your side to do whatever you need to do on the task force moving forward so that we begin to change this culture and hold men accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative O'Neill. Changing culture, I think, is indeed what is our challenge in our state. And the law doesn't change culture, but the law has an incredibly powerful direction and vision and expectation and the ability to hold people accountable so that we can, in fact, change culture. So I appreciate your words of wisdom. Representative Kunesh-Podein, the honor is ours to have the elders who have come and spoken, to have the sisters that you have testify, also to have spoken with us. I heard the word healing, and I also heard justice. It occurs to me that healing requires justice. And justice requires a number of things. And first and foremost, it requires us to be able to see, to make visible what we have intentionally worked to make invisible. It also requires honesty, sharing, and accountability. Again, you know, this committee has focused itself on community-centered public policy, public safety, precisely for that purpose, for that reason, because we need community to be at the center of making visible and creating justice. And so I hope that we're able to move this bill successfully forward, have it signed, and let it be one piece that allows us all to live together in justice in this state. Members, we're going to take a vote because we're past our adjournment time. But Representative, I would be remiss if I didn't ask if you had any final words that you wish to share with the committee at this point.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you all that listened so carefully and so intently. I saw the emotion in your faces. I hear it in your voice. Thank you, Representative O'Neill. Last year, there was not a representative that did not come to me and pledge their support, and I ask for your support once again, just as Chair so eloquently put it. It's time that we remove that invisibility cape around this situation and open up the historical trauma and the pain that has happened. I don't know that we can ever heal what has happened over these centuries, but we can do something to prevent it from happening again and again and again. And so I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Representative Kunesh-Podein. And so Representative and Chairman Dean renews his motion that House File 70 be referred to the Ways and Means Committee. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion prevails. And with that, members, this committee stands adjourned.